The foul means nothing at all. Nothing at all. And maybe the foul could be the start of it all.
Welcome to the Fresh Squeeze Podcast.
Hey there, everyone. Schluba here. You'll notice that Mike's not here today. It's because he, in fact, forgot to wash his balls, and so he's been a casualty of failure to wash his balls. Below, we got Dylan, and to my left, right? Oh, okay. I'm doing this just as well as Mike does. To my right, to my right, we got Sean. How's
What up,
everybody doing today?
everyone?
How's it going? Podcast is live. I'm going to share this real quick and then we will get started. What is,
feel like I
does
would've
anybody
made
have
Mike
any
proud
funny
with that.
stories from just life stories from the last time that we met up? Anything to share? Current happenings? I assume everybody had a good Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
I
For
actually
once,
cooked a
my
Thanksgiving
Thanksgiving
dinner.
was good.
What about you, Sean?
My Thanksgiving was great because my stomach went straight to the bathroom afterwards.
We usually don't do anything for Thanksgiving in my house, but like it's not really been a family thing we do. But this year I decided to just kind of go through and cook everything myself, and
Right.
been just trying to do that on a normal basis. But somebody at work was telling me, like, it was the day before, it was Wednesday, and I was having a meeting with them. I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna go buy a turkey later today and get it ready for tomorrow. He's like, you need to go out and get one right now because you have to thaw them apparently, and I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. Any bird, any type of bird you're doing, like chicken, especially, they take forever to thaw.
But I got
Right.
super lucky, and Hy-Vee already had them all thawed, and they were selling them for $10. So I got like a $40 turkey for $10. So I was like, all right.
Hey, that's a deal.
Nice. Nice.
And I didn't have to thaw it.
Heck yeah.
It only
Dude,
made
you
me
know
a
what I
little. It
would
only made me
do?
a little sick.
I would probably just go to Hy-Vee, like in October, and just buy like 3 turkeys and put them in the freezer.
Hey, how's it going, Cody? Cody Hansen is on. You know Cody, right, Sean?
What up, Cody?
Grinch is in the house, he says. So today we've got some various topics. We got us a Google Doc as usual, and I think the first topic we're going to cover is the first ever video game Grammys are a thing. First of all, did everybody know that there's like a video game category to the Grammys?
Did you
Yep.
see that part
I
where?
mean,
did you see that
like,
part
I've
where
heard of like
Kratos
Game of the
slapped shit
Year
out
or
of,
something like that.
Both you and Schloobs were talking at the same time.
Go
which-
ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, my bad. Oh, I was just saying that, I mean, I never heard of a Grammy kind of thing or an Emmy kind of thing for video games, but I've heard like IGN Game of the Year, and then they get like maybe like the best graphics, and like, because I remember like Injustice 2 got Game of the Year in like 2018 or something like that, and which I agree they should have gotten that because that was a very good game.
Right. What's your favorite video game music, Sean? You have any?
Oh, there's a lot.
Like ever? Like any video game? What's your
Okay,
top
I'll give
one?
you the top 5 list. Snake Eater, that's one.
Okay,
Seth
yeah.
Roth, One Winged Angel.
Yes, Sephiroth, that's my boy right there.
Yeah.
Love
The Donkey Kong
He's my main in
theme.
Super Smash Bros.
This is Cody was asking if this is for the music of the game. This is for the music. There's a
Oh, it is for music.
video game music Grammy Award. Here, I'll pull it up on the intermission screen here. So the first ever, you should be able to see, I have it shared in Discord there. Sean, did I pull that up for you again? I did not. Dang it. I'll be right back. Could you get started on that, Schloobs or Dylan?
I
Yeah, sure.
can see you
I've got an
pulling
article
up.
here. We're going to
I've
read it. It's from GG Recon. And I'll be right back. I am playing tech support and also hosting today, so just a second.
I mean,
Double duty.
I'll go ahead and start the doc here. Come on. All right.
all right.
So the Grammys revealing that it would be commending video games for their contributions to the world of music came as a huge relief to the world of music. Okay, because we're talking about the
Right.
music from video games. It's about time the medium got some respect, with many still unconsciously refusing to acknowledge the video game scores as real music. The fact of the matter is that many composers that work behind the scenes on games are some of the best that music has. We listened to some of the games that deserved some historical recognition to prove it, but now that the first nominees have been revealed, maybe the Grammys have misunderstood the assignment. This year's Grammy nominations have been revealed, and along with them comes the first swath of nominees for the new category: Best Score Soundtrack for Video Games and Other Interactive Media. And fans are a little confused. You'll see what we mean. Here are the nominees. So first we have Aliens Fire Team Elite with the composer Austin Wintory. I don't even remember.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I don't even remember music
that.
from that game.
We
then
played
again,
that, and I was
then
like,
again,
good.
I hope Assassin's Creed Valhalla wins.
we
It's
I mean we
Assassin's Creed.
we do turn off the music in the menu. Maybe they're talking about the menu music.
I was talking about the category who is good in the category, the nominees.
Yeah. But Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I haven't played Assassin's Creed since like, what's the one with the ships? The pirate one?
Oh, Black Flag.
Yeah, I haven't played since Black Flag, and even then I didn't really play that one much.
The
So
only one
that
I ever
has,
played was Liberation, and that was only for PS Vita when I owned one.
I
That's
don't
the only
think I've-
Assassin's Creed ever. Yeah,
hadn't
that's
even
the
heard
only
of it.
one I've ever played, and that game wasn't exactly great.
That's cool that they had Assassin's Creed on the Vita though.
Oh, they did. Yeah, it was. The graphics were okay-ish. It was just it was just kind of, the plot was kind of hard to follow, and then I ended up not even finishing it because like the quest, like this part of the quest was like super confusing, and I just lost interest in it pretty quickly. But it's whatever.
So next we got Call of Duty Vanguard. Bear McCreary is the composer. Again, not sure if I remember any of the music from that. I played a little bit. I do actually own that game. I think I played it for like a weekend, so I got my $60 out of it.
Bear McCreary sounds like a wrestling name. I'm just saying.
McCreary, I know that last name. Isn't that the same last name as the guy that plays the Hound on Game of Thrones?
Oh.
Also the Yarp guy from
I know what you're talking about, but I don't think that was his name.
I'm imaging that name in WWE very clearly. When he comes up on stage, he roars like a bear, and he has like long like just have like sharp fingers and all that stuff, and he's like big and probably fat, and he just like bear hugs and just slams him down his opponent on the ground.
Apparently, Bear McCreary has also done music for Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power.
Oh, there you go.
Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. Are they talking about the game?
Yeah. Right.
I heard that game actually wasn't that bad, and I could believe that they would have a good soundtrack.
Yeah.
But Richard Jacques is the composer for that, and then Oddworld. Is this like
Old World.
like what's that? Oh, Old World. Okay.
I'm not
Dyslexia,
sure.
apparently.
I don't even know what game that is. Let's look that one up. Old World.
When I thought I said Oddworld, I thought it was like Abe's Odyssey or something.
Mohawk Games.
Christopher Ten, composer.
Oh, it's a Civilization clone.
So basically,
yeah.
it's like a tycoon like game.
No, it's like, have you ever played the Civilization
From the veterans
games?
behind
Yeah,
Civilization
a little
3,
bit.
Or
Civilization
Forge of
4,
or
and
Forge of
also
Oh,
Empires.
so they previously made Civ.
World Trading Company comes Old World, an epic
Like Wonder
I played,
historical strategy game.
Yeah, I played Age of Empires, and that's kind of the basis, but it's not as innovative as Civilization, though.
Right.
Plus, I lost my
This
count.
does look a lot like Civ.
Right.
I can't believe Metal Hellsinger's not on this list.
Yeah, that's like so I
At least as a
haven't
nominee.
played. I played some of the Guardians of the Galaxy I mean, it's an okay game, but
That one
I
doesn't
didn't-
surprise me because if it has anything like the soundtrack for the movies,
Right.
they picked some pretty good songs for that. So
Honestly, I'm actually mad that Doom Eternal soundtrack was not in the nominee.
yeah, that should be in there too.
It should be in there. I don't even know why. When it said like Doom Eternal soundtrack is a nightmare. From
Wasn't
the
Doom-
composer.
well,
we'll
Doom-
have to talk
this-
about that later, but
Doom Eternal wouldn't count anyways because it wasn't this year, right? Doom Eternal came out in 20.
yeah, it would have been a different year.
Yeah, it was during the pandemic. It was the prime of the pandemic. 2020.
Yeah, March 20 of 2020. But anyways, fans are pretty confused as to when the cutoff for the awards was. It includes 2021 games, Aliens Fireteam Elite. Okay, so apparently they do have multiple years in here. Call of Duty Vanguard, which, yeah, I guess Vanguard was last year, wasn't it? So we're pretty perplexed that Assassin's Creed Dawn of Ragnarok made the list as a DLC pack for the game that launched in 2020. So the DLC is... Oh, okay, I guess, yeah, Dawn of Ragnarok. I guess that wasn't a full release. It was just DLC for the Valhalla game.
Yeah.
With the last... And it was... I guess Dawn of Ragnarok would have been released this year, though, so that kind of makes sense. With the last 12 months offering the likes of Tunic, Elden Ring, and the Artful Escape, it's a interesting roster for sure. And fans aren't sure what to make of it. That's before we even get to God of War Ragnarok's rousing soundtrack missing out. Haven't played God of War Ragnarok yet myself, so I don't know what the soundtrack's like in it, but I do actually want to play it.
So fans have taken to Twitter to express their confusion about where their favorite games are. Summing up what most of us are thinking, someone wrote, "Really cool to see video game scores get recognition at the Grammys. Have to say, though, I'm thoroughly underwhelmed by the nominations." Gamers are particularly perplexed on Reset Era, with one user commenting on the nominees saying, "No neon white making the whole thing, or makes the whole thing invalid." Okay, I don't know what neon white is, but okay. Another added, "GOTG music was really cool." Hey, Cody actually mentioned that. What is GOT? Game of Thrones game or something? I'm missing. I forget. I don't know what that is. But anyway.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, well, they had
Yeah.
that on there. They had that on there.
I think they're just saying, yeah, it's good, but...
Yeah. But this list, well, the third question, so the studios with enough money to pay the Grammy FYC campaign got in. Cool, great system, everyone. The fact that video games are getting a look in at the Grammys is great news alone, but damn, these nominees are strange. We'll take it for now, providing that Ragnarok gets what it deserves next year. So yeah, I think we've had a little bit of discussion. Do we have any final thoughts, or do we want to roundtable it?
Well, Ragnarok sure is probably going to win because their music their music was made by Python and other sorts of artists that are like a big fan of the Nordic mythology or like Nordic mythology and all that stuff. I mean, I listen to the music all the time and I just love it.
Yeah. So
I'm curious. Go ahead. Well, I was just gonna say, I'm just curious, like, for Guardians of the Galaxy, like, did they actually compose new music for that, or do I just get to be a composer by creating a playlist?
Making a mixtape.
Yeah, like, can I just make a fire mixtape for my
Right.
girlfriend and be considered a composer?
Yeah. It's fire, man.
Just
But
be like
I was going to say,
Star-Lord in it.
this, I remember that there's this music store over in Keokuk, Iowa. It's probably not there anymore because I think Mr. Meister passed away, but it was Meister's Music. And
He actually retired before, but I didn't hear anything about passing away. But he did retire, and
Okay.
yeah, it was probably. I want to say it's probably like in 2018. I want to say because I remember I was trying to get my saxophone cleaned for a tour for my first college tour during my undergrad years, and then I just happened to notice that his shop wasn't there, and so now, despite having somewhat of an active music program within the school community, we now don't really have a reliable resource for music materials or any sort of repair. I mean, the Lost Canvas, we have a coffee shop that's like right next to it. They sell like reeds and guitar picks and some other stuff, but I mean, do they have like a licensed like maintenance person, or like can you buy instruments there? No, not really. The closest you can probably find instruments or anything for maintenance is probably in either Burlington, Iowa or Quincy, Illinois, and they're both about
Right.
30 to 40 minutes away from Keokuk. So yeah, that was kind of a shame.
Yeah. So when I was in there, there was a guy that was just a second here. When I was in there, there was this guy that was kind of just helping run the shop, was employed by Mr. Meister, and he and I were talking. I went in there, I think, can't remember what I was buying, but I just happened to spark a conversation with him, and he said that his son wrote the entire Skyrim soundtrack. So I like met the Skyrim soundtrack composer's dad. Kind of weird, but that was another one. It's like, wow, give as much as you can crap about the Skyrim repackagings, but it did have good music. I mean, I think the score was really good on that one.
I noticed a common theme with games nowadays that some games are highly like either they're underrated or they're just plain out shat on, but they have like really awesome soundtracks. Like for example, Call of Duty Black Ops 3 Zombies. People had their they had their doubt, they were a little skeptical of it at first, and then they started to enjoy it. And then when the last map, Revelations, got released, the fans got like super pissed because apparently the finale to that saga was basically, quote unquote, from critics, a middle finger to the Treyarch fans. But I still have some of their soundtracks in my playlist, like Snakeskin Boots for their from the first map, Shadows of Evil, and not to mention I actually brought that song to life in jazz band in my college grad years, and I was a lead sax soloist for that song because I knew the song like the back of my hand. My director looked up the score for it, and we took it on tour, and it was fucking amazing. Like, holy crap! I just brought a video game score to life, and now we're bringing it on tour.
So we got a comment here from Cody. Guardians of the Galaxy won their Grammy for the movie soundtrack, but I'm not sure it would even qualify choosing songs brought from the 80s or from the 80s for a movie soundtrack even eligible for a Grammy. Now a composer for a video game soundtrack would be interesting because it's music that's composed and not just thrown in from random artists. But
so like, does that mean if that soundtrack wins, does everybody that is included in that soundtrack get to say that they're Grammy winner then?
Yeah, there you go.
And they get some large trophies for that.
No, they just get paid in exposure. That's how it works.
Oh, well, money's better than gold.
Capitalism.
Exposure pays the bills, as everybody knows. But yeah, I think that it's a good thing to bring it there, but I agree, bit underwhelming on the list there.
I'm just gonna put a Mike joke out there since he's not here. You could probably try and expose yourself to your landlord, but it's probably not gonna pay the bill. I think that seemed like something Mike might say.
Hey, I'm pretty sure there's like a whole section of porn that is all about paying the landlord bill, but I'm just
There's prego porn. What do you expect?
Dude, if that's the case, then do you think OnlyFans can help with that too?
Hey, maybe if your just think about it. If your landlord pays money to you on your OnlyFans, then technically they're like paying their own rent. I don't know, like.
You probably give him a free booty pic too, and it probably give you probably have to pay less.
Dude!
Oh, cool! You get $150 off your month's rent.
So Cody says here, Jack Wall wrote and composed a ton of the greatest music from the Call of Duty franchise, to and including his best song, Adrenaline, which we can't.
Yes, Jack Wall. That guy is a fucking like genius when it comes to creating soundtracks, and Adrenaline I have that on my playlist too. And Adrenaline, it just, even though this game Black Ops 2, that's where it comes from,
Yeah.
Even though that game came out like 2000 like 12 or something like that, that shit still hits. It still hits.
Right.
It still hits.
Heck yeah.
And not to mention some of the zombie soundtracks, like my personal favorite, the giant remix of Beauty of Annihilation by Elena Segman. That song, it's amazing because it comes from one of the first DLC maps of Call of Duty Zombies when it first became a thing, which came from the World at War era. There's an Easter egg song in the final DLC map called Dries, and if you have to find like 3 of these vials of this green fluid, and it plays a secret song, and that song is called Beauty of Annihilation. And then on Black Ops 3, they remastered it then they call it the Giant instead of Dries, it's the Giant. And they did a remix of that song called Beauty of Annihilation Giant Remix, and it just hits. It sounds so amazing.
So by the way,
I agree with Cody there.
The only reason that you should ever get your saxophone worked on is so that you can play Careless Whisper. But I'm just
motherfucker.
Hold on, baby. Get my saxophone.
I'm just saying. I saw somebody walking around. It was on a video. I saw this video, and they just went from bar to bar to bar, or maybe it was dance club to dance club, and that person just walked into the dance club. Whatever was playing, they just vibed with it with a saxophone, and people were just freaking the hell out. It was freaking awesome.
I guess I'm going to a McDonald's even.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Dude, I hope I see him in Moline then.
All right, so we're going to move on to the next topic, and this one's kind of off the wall, but I read this article and I thought it was really interesting, and I think we can get a little bit of kind of conversation in about it because it's so weird and interesting. So let's switch over to the article here. This is from freethink.com. Whatever happened to the first cryogenically frozen humans? So like in sci-fi, we always see like, well, I guess it's going to be about 5 years to get to such and such place. I'm going to go on to cryo sleep. And I don't know why they have a deep Southern accent, but that's how I imagine.
This literally just makes me think about Philip J. Fry.
You've been watching a lot of Westworld recently, haven't you, Jason?
Did you change your audio input or something? You sound kind of echoey there, Shaloobs.
Because I'm further away from the mic.
Oh, there you go. There you go. So I'm going to go ahead and read
Is it
this.
delivered for Icy Wiener? Oh, crud.
Hey, I'm pretty sure they talk about that in here. But anyway. All right. So several facilities in the U.S. and abroad maintain morbid warehouse morgues full of frozen human heads and bodies waiting for the future. They are part of a story that is ghoulish, darkly humorous, I don't know why, and yet endearingly sincere. For a small group of fervent futurists, it is their lottery ticket to immortality. What are the chances that these bodies will be reanimated? Will baseball legend Ted Williams' frozen head be awakened to coach fighter pilots or fuse to a robot body to hit 40% again? Or 400, whatever you want to call it. A primer on cryonics. Cryonics, attempting to cryopreserve the human body, is widely considered a pseudoscience. Cryopreservation is a legitimate scientific endeavor in which cells, organs, or in rare cases, entire organisms may be cooled to extremely low temperatures and revived somewhat intact. It occurs in nature, but only in limited cases. Humans are particularly difficult to preserve because of the delicate structure in most of our heads. Deprived of oxygen at room temperature, the brain dies within minutes. While the body may be reanimated, the person who lives is often in a permanent vegetative state. You know, kind of like me after Thanksgiving. But cooling the body may give the brain a bit more time. During brain or heart surgery, circulation may be stopped for up to an hour, with the body cooled to 20 degrees Celsius, or for us Yanks, 68 degrees Fahrenheit. A procedure to cool the body to 50 degrees Fahrenheit without oxygen for additional hours is still at the experimental research stage. When a cryonic patient dies, a race begins to prepare and cool the body before it decays, and then to place it inside a douar, a thermos bottle full of liquid nitrogen. The inner vessel of the douar contains a body or bodies wrapped in several layers of insulating material, attached to a stretcher and suspended in liquid nitrogen. The head is oriented downward to keep the brain the coldest and most stable. This vessel lies within a second outer vessel separated by a vacuum to avoid heat transfer from the outer room temperature vessel wall to the cold inner vessel wall. Heat gradually transfers across anyway and boils away the liquid nitrogen, which must be periodically refilled. Bodies were originally, and may still be in some cases, cooled and frozen in whatever condition they were in at death, with better or worse preservation, as we shall see. So let's get to the grisly fates of the first cryonauts. This is getting kind of a little bit weird here. So the early years of cryonics were grisly. All but one of the first frozen futurists failed in their quest for immortality. Small freezing operations began in the late 1960s. While the practice of storing bodies has become more sophisticated over the past 50 years, in the early days, technicians cooled and prepared corpses with haste on dry ice before eventually cramming them into douar capsules. By and large, these quote-unquote preservations did not achieve preservation. They were nightmarish, gruesome failures. Their stories were researched and documented by people within the field who published thorough and frank records. The largest operation was run out of a cemetery in Chatsworth, California by a man named Robert Nelson. 4 of his first clients were not initially frozen.
And the records, I just got to be frank with you. This is fucked up.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. I mean, like a cybernetic coach. That's like a Terminator coach for you.
Work harder. Work harder.
Hit that ball.
So
hit that ball now.
4 of his first clients were not initially frozen in liquid nitrogen, but placed on a bed of dry ice in a mortuary. One of these bodies was a woman whose son decided to take her body back. He hauled his dead mother around in a truck on dry ice for some time before burying her. Oh, man. It's like,
What?
hey, man, he pulls up to a hitchhiker. He's just like, I got room, but you got to hang in the back.
And then the hitchhiker asks like this, like, what's with that? Oh, they screwed me over. So I just want my body back. That's what's going on right now in the back.
It's like, it's just my mom. Don't worry
That's
about
just
it.
my
Just
mom,
remember-
don't worry about it.
And just remember, you're on thin ice, buddy.
All right. So eventually, the mortician was not pleased with the other bodies sitting around on beds of ice, so a liquid nitrogen douar capsule was secured for the remaining 3. Another man was already frozen and sealed inside the capsule, so it was opened and he was removed. Nelson and the mortician then spent the entire night figuring out how to jam 4 people who may or may not have suffered thaw damage into the capsule. The arrangement of bodies in different orientations was described as a quote-unquote puzzle.
They're damaged.
After
They're
finding
damaged.
an arrangement that worked. I'm just imagining, like, oh, the resealed capsule was lowered.
Imagine they actually do like manage to resuscitate or revive those people, and they got to find out that they were jammed in a tube for centuries, naked, pressed against somebody else for fucking
Right,
hundreds of years.
right.
Dude,
It's
I'm
an
gonna feel
awkward
bad
conversation.
for the guy who accidentally got shoved right next to that girl's ass.
So, after finding an arrangement that worked, the resealed capsule was lowered into an underground vault at the cemetery. Nelson claimed to have refilled it sporadically for about a year before he stopped receiving money from the relatives. After a while, he let the bodies thaw out inside the capsule and left the whole thing festering in his vault. Another group of 3, including an 8-year-old girl, interesting,
Oh
My God.
was packed
I'm
into
not
a
gonna like
second
this one.
was packed into a second capsule in the Chatsworth vault. The liquid nitrogen system of this capsule subsequently failed without Nelson noticing. Okay.
Oh my god.
Upon checking one day, he saw that everyone inside had long thawed out. The fate of these ruined bodies is unclear, but they might have been refrozen for several more years. Nelson froze a 6-year-old boy in 1974.
What
The capsule itself was well maintained by the boy's father, but when it was opened, the boy's body was found to be cracked. The cracking could have occurred if the body was frozen too quickly by the liquid nitrogen. The boy was then thawed, embalmed, and buried. Now that there was a vacancy, a different man was placed into the leftover capsule, but 10 months had elapsed between his death and freezing, so his body was in rotten shape. No pun intended.
Ew.
From
Oh
the
my
get-go,
God.
and was eventually thawed.
What
Every-
is this Mr. Freeze
Right?
BS, man?
How does he even, like, he's just all like, hey, anybody want their bodies frozen? Anybody want somebody's frozen? Like, how does he even advertise this?
I think
you
I
know?
saw a Craigslist ad like this one time.
I feel bad for that boy.
Well, I don't know why. He's dead. Every cryonic client put into the vault at Chatsworth and looked after by Nelson eventually failed. These bodies inside the Dewar capsules were simply left to rot. Reporters visited the crypt where these failed operations had taken place and reported a horrifying stench. The proprietor admitted to failure, bad decisions, and going broke. He further pointed out, who can guarantee that you're going to be suspended for 10 or 15 years? Come on, man. The worst of fates have all occurred at a similar underground vault that stored bodies at a cemetery in Butler, New Jersey.
Oh god.
The storage
Oh,
Dewar.
not that place.
Okay.
One problem I see with this
dude.
is I feel like a lot of these people were overestimating the ability within 10 or 15 years of us like perfecting this technology.
Right.
Like,
I'm gonna feel
in the
like...
in the 70s, can you imagine being like, yeah, we'll have flying cars and we'll be able to unfreeze dead people.
Dude, didn't you
Like,
see Star Wars? I mean, come on, man.
I'm gonna feel like New Jersey might be the worstest one than California.
Well, it says the New Jersey one, the storage Dewar was poorly designed with uninsulated pipes. Oh, okay, that seems like Jersey to me.
Why do you think I think Jersey's gonna be the bad one?
I'm getting cryogenically frozen on a budget.
Right? Just blast me with those cans of air. You know how they get cold?
Yeah.
Just keep blasting, dude.
Turn a bunch of pressurized cans upside down.
This led to a series of incidents, we're calling it. At least one of which was failure of the vacuum. Which was failure of the vacuum jacket insulating the inside. The bodies in the container partially thawed, moved, and then froze again, stuck to the capsule like a child's tongue to a cold lamppost.
What? This is more darker than the other lane.
Eventually,
Stop! Wait, I'm
The
sorry.
bo-
I need to say something right now. So there is a vacuum jacket. It's all from the inside of the bodies. What the? I want to say the F word, but I can't. I don't know.
Eventually, the bodies had to be entirely thawed to unstick, then refrozen and put back in.
Why?
A year later, the Dewar failed again, and the bodies decomposed into a, quote, a plug of fluids in the
my
bottom
God.
of the capsule. The decision was finally made to thaw the entire contraption, scrape out the remains, and bury them. The men who performed this unfortunate task had to wear a breathing apparatus.
Of course, it probably stank like a damn rat hole, like a rat hose.
So it had to have been awful.
It
okay.
was awful.
So out of all those frozen prior to 1973, one body remains preserved. Robert Bedford was sealed into a Dewar in 1967. Instead of leaving the body to meet a horrific fate under Nelson's care, Bedford's family took custody of the capsule, meticulously caring for it at their own expense. The body was handed off between professional cryonics operations, occupying multiple frozen tanks and facilities for 15 years or so. Eventually ended up in the hands of the founders of Alcor, a modern cryonics outfit. one of whom wrote a heartfelt, slightly creepy piece about the body.
Oh, this is not.
I
going
have to
well.
see that. I didn't actually.
I want.
Oh boy,
Oh,
Oh my gosh,
God.
this is really long.
This is.
it's a
so-
novel.
That's the
Whoa! Look at this.
capsule? Look, that thing is
It's
big.
opening.
I thought it was a pill.
Look at this.
What? That's the
They're
body.
putting him in.
They're putting the. 1970s
It looks like a
are dark,
giant
bro.
propane tank.
It looked like
I'll tell you what.
It looked like a big bullet to me.
Wow. Well, anyway, let's go back here.
That is just.
That whole operation looks like something your uncle might do in his garage
Right.
or something.
It doesn't look high speed or anything.
Looks like it's just a bunch of just nothing but a tin filled with nitrogen.
Well, you're the cryogenicist. I'm just gonna go ahead and trust you.
Alcor is the leading example of the current state of cryonics, while the ugly events above suggest that your remains might well end up as tissue sludge scraped out of a can.
Oh my god!
The
You.
professionalism of companies like Alcor
Now,
may offer.
now I say that is dark. That is dark.
Alcor may offer an increased chance for long-term preservation. The 501c3 organization hosts researchers who work on methods to improve the freezing process, possibly increasing whatever slight odds exist that human popsicles will ever be brought back to life. At a more fundamental level, it appears to be stable and to have deep pockets, so there is a better chance that your corpse will be around long enough for some distant future doctor to recoil in horror at it. U.S. industry.
What do you do for a living? Oh, I practice freezing shit all the time to find out what happens later.
Right.
What?
I'm gonna write the
Okay,
results down.
pause it. So, are you saying that in the future they're gonna put like frozen dead bodies in horror movies?
I think that this is like we're currently reading the origin story for an actual Mr. Freeze in the future.
Oh my
He's
god!
going to be the CEO of this cryonics
Let's
institute.
hope we have a realistic Batman.
The U.S.
Pray
industry.
for us for that.
The U.S. industry is consolidated around two main organizations. If not Alcor, the other choice is Cryonics Institute, which has more than 200 bodies stored in giant tanks and accepts dozens more each year. Apparently, 10 years ago, head storage alone at Alcor cost $80,000, while full body storage at the Cryonics Institute was only $30,000. Wow, that's what a savings!
What's included in that 80K? Like,
I don't know.
Attach your head. We attach your head to something else once we thaw you out.
They'd probably just agree to freeze it, I guess. But there are international options as well. A Russian cryogenics company stores not only people but pets, including one entry under rodents, a deceased chinchilla named Button.
You gotta really love a chinchilla to freeze
Does
it.
it look like a button?
Yeah. Modern cryonic preparations for Alcor employ a multi-step process to prepare the body for storage. First, they begin to cool the body while anti-clotting agents and organ preservation solutions are injected into the bloodstream and circulated under CPR. The body is then transported to the company's main facility, where the original fluid is placed in with chemicals that vitrify, turn to glass, the body's organs. This offers some hope for cutting down on structural damage during the subsequent cooling and storage. Then the body is entombed in its Dewar capsule. So is cryonic science or making human popsicles?
Yes.
That all sounds scientific and careful, but is it really science or just applying scientific tools to a fantasy proposition? Is it possible to freeze the human body and revive it decades later? Currently, it's not remotely plausible. Will it ever be? That's probably an open question. As it stands now, cryonics is a bizarre intersection of scientific thinking and wishful thinking. While cryonic preparation is now more advanced, the laws of physics demand that the structure of the body will break down rapidly after death, catastrophically upon freezing, and gradually over time, even while frozen. Think of how badly frozen food ages in your freezer. If the medical technology of the future becomes advanced enough, perhaps these corpses can be revived, but that's a big if. Let's say your body remains frozen until the 25th century, then let's say that future doctors are interested in reviving you. How much work will they have to do to fix you once you're thawed? The answer lies in the condition of the bodies once they're thawed. Strangely enough, we know something about this. 1983, Alcorn needed to lighten 3 cryonauts, reducing them from bodies to simply heads. In one transhumanist conception of the future, medical science will be able to revive the brain and then simply make a new body or robot in which to attach it. Neuropreservation is cheaper and easier too. The 3 corpses were removed from their Dewar capsules so that the heads could be cut off, still frozen, so requiring a chainsaw, and stored separately.
That's a very exact medical tool.
Right? Once the heads were sawed off and put away, Alcor employees got to work medically examining the state of the bodies. They wrote up in their findings in great detail. At first, things looked reasonably good. While the bodies were still frozen, their skin was not only moderately cracked in a few places, but once the bodies thawed, things started to go downhill. Cracks appeared in the warming bodies, cutting through the skin and subcutaneous fat all the way down the body wall or muscle surface beneath. One patient displayed red traces across the skin following the pass of blood vessels that ruptured. 2 of the patients had massive cutaneous ruptures over the pubis. The soft skin in these areas was apparently quite susceptible to cracking. While the external damage was extensive, the internal damage was worse. Nearly every organ system inside the bodies was fractured. In one patient, every major blood vessel had broken near the heart. The lungs and spleen were almost bisected, and the intestines fractured extensively. Only the liver and kidneys weren't completely destroyed. The third body, which had been thawed very slowly, was in better condition externally, with only a few skin fractures and no obvious exploded blood vessels. However, the inside was even more annihilated than the others. The organs were badly cracked or severed. The spinal cord was snapped into 3 pieces, and the heart was fractured. The examiners injected dye into an artery in the arm. Rather than flow through the blood vessels into muscles, most of it pooled under the surface in pockets and leaked out of skin fractures. Medical examiners extensively detailed the content of the blood, the texture of the muscles, and the extent of the damage. They included pictures, and they earnestly stated their conclusions up front. The tremendous tissue deterioration will require incredibly advanced medical technology to fix. Worse, the probable destruction at the cellular level may require rebuilding the body at the molecular level. Perhaps future medicine might be able to inject swarms of nanobots in your body to repair every bit of tissue, but don't bet on it happening anytime soon. So, while the chances of immortality may be slim, dozens of people still commit their bodies or brains to cryonics each year. If their remains aren't mismanaged or allowed to disintegrate, and if their relatives don't go to court over the body, there is now a good chance that they will remain frozen for decades. Unfortunately, they will come out of the process cracked into a million pieces, and the prospect of putting them back together again is purely science fiction for the foreseeable future. It's a grim practice with ghoulish results. At least it makes for some fascinating stories and a bit of dark humor. So what do you guys think?
Well, I'm speechless, for one. 2, why do they need a chainsaw? Because I already know they're going to slip up and cut off that dude's arm.
Yeah.
And he wakes up saying, "What happened to my arm?" And then you're like, "Well, in your anger, you lost your arm." That doesn't make any sense. I was frozen in time.
This is like, why are you complaining? Now we can call you Torso Boy.
So boy.
That's a cool nickname. Come on. But yeah, that's I didn't, I guess, realize that this was a normal thing, but apparently it's been going on for decades and decades.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming they haven't frozen anybody that's still alive.
Right.
Except for that dude is gonna be like a Terminator coach.
But I mean,
Right.
like, I don't know. This is definitely one of those things where I feel like people are signing up for something where it's like, yeah, I know it's not going to work. Like, imagine your business model is like, yeah, we haven't figured it out yet, but we're still set. Like, these guys are basically like game makers. They have an unfinished product that they're selling to people. And they're just like, yeah, we'll fix it later.
We'll figure it out, bro.
I'm still shocked about where the where he shoved the like 4 bodies in one capsule.
Right.
Do you have any idea how much bodies are stick by each other while frozen?
I just imagine there's got to be at some point where some dude was asked, like, who was still alive, and they're like, hey, can we test this cryostasis on you, and he's like, "Fuck it, I ain't got any weekend plans," and
I'm just imagining
they just forgot about him. And
yeah,
I'm just
in the year
imagining
in the year 3001.
two bodies getting stuck together, and they gotta like break them apart with a spatula.
Oh, that's
I'm
fucked
just
up.
saying that happens to the sausage patties I cook, and it's kind of a tough problem to deal with.
I do. Oh, okay, so that last story they have on there about the guy in the ice shed. I've actually read about that story before, where somebody was basically like, it was kind of like that other story where they got tired of paying for the cryogenics, so they just basically were like, yeah, just drop the tube off at my house, and the dude kept it in a shed behind his house for like 20 years or something like that, and just kept going out there packing dry ice into it.
Gross.
It was like the most redneck way. Like, it was like basically redneck cryogenics.
Right.
I still feel bad for that little boy in New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Jersey, they're the same thing.
Jersey. All right, so we're going to move on to a discussion about the Game Awards.
Yes.
So this one's kind of a a critic's discussion, but it'll help us kind of like start the discussion from thegamer.com. I'm going to go ahead and read through this, and then we can discuss. So it says, I'm normally indifferent about the Game Awards, knowing all the biggest and most predictable games each year will be nominated, while smaller titles go underappreciated due to how the selection process works. But there are often a few rare exceptions seeping through the cracks, deserved gems getting their time in the sun alongside the big boys. We aren't seeing that this year, and it's become abundantly clear that beyond the expected picks, this is a marketing showcase first and foremost that doesn't care about the medium. God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Elden Ring, and a small selection of indies swept the majority of categories, so much so that on the night we'll likely see only a few select games pick up all awards at all. Best Indie and Debut Indie are filled with most of the same games, so much so that bangers like I Was a Teenage Exocolonist and Somerville are missing out on spots altogether. Not that it matters, because the selection process is busted.
Why is that story related?
What?
4 years ago, a cartoon called She-Ra changed my gay little life. What?
I'm sorry.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Why would a game?
There's an
be named
ad.
I was a
I don't know why
teenage
that's a related
X-list?
story.
It's in the document.
That is the weirdest name of a game of the history of naming your game.
Yeah. Anyway, many games dominating nominations aren't necessarily the best ones, but those from major studios or the usual blockbusters mixed with modest efforts that dominated social media discussion for a brief period of time. God of War Ragnarok hasn't been out for a week, so critics don't know, or who didn't review it wouldn't have had a chance to judge its merits, especially when it comes to narrative and performances. Horizon Forbidden West is painfully mid, and as predictable as sequels can get, while Elden Ring is incredible, but it's also the obvious choice that outlets are going to pick out of controversial inertia alone. There was no way it wasn't going to sweep this event, but it was still bested by Ragnarok somehow. I just didn't expect the playing field to be this underwhelming, but the only ones we have to blame are ourselves and our lack of consideration for wider content in the industry. For what it's worth, we weren't on the TGA jury this year, but the breakup between us and Jeff Cayley wasn't exactly messy. He didn't return our calls. I'm going to skip over this. Prestige wins over quality, and that's a tragic damnation of where our industry is at right now. God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, and A Plague Tale Requiem are all up for Game of the Year, and all of them are third-person narrative blockbusters that take heavy influence from both The Last of Us and open world templates that have grown derivative over the past few years. Not saying they're bad, nor undeserving of praise, but the fact that we have decided these three and a few actually worthwhile nominees are the best we're capable of as an industry, instead of applying real, tangible critique to their boons and shortcomings, suggests we have only ourselves to blame for what the Game Awards have become. It's an occasion in service of this medium instead of celebrating it, advocating far more for the next big release than those responsible for creating them. Awards are given off-screen to make way for big trailers and world premieres, like the trophies are handed off with disdain so Kaylee can keep lining his pockets with gold. So he says, take Stray, for example. It's a perfectly solid experience, but we're far more interested in talking about how cute its central character was and the ways in which our real-world felines reacted to it, instead of talking about its gameplay and narrative. Tunic is also brilliant, but the conversation largely revolved around it being a Zelda clone. It's like so many of us didn't play enough games and were presented with a slew of categories to fill, so settled for clutching at straws with little regard for who ends up being on the ballot. I could be here for ages listing out games that were snubbed, or why the oversaturation of so many categories speaks to our inability to consume media properly as critics, because we are still so stuck within the mindset of a consumer ready to stand up for marketing hype. Games are bigger than ever, and there are more of them out there than ever too, with ample services like Xbox Game Pass allowing independent gems and lower budget gems to shine on a similar level to their blockbuster contemporaries. Even with all this progress, they remain ignored, and the Game Awards won't change until we're willing to analyze and uproot the system ourselves. So, what do we think? Do we think that...
Well,
Game Awards are bullshit anyways. Like,
right.
Well, what about the music reward for game music? They're both
That's
equal.
the Grammys. This is just Game Awards.
I know, but is it not?
I mean,
yeah, it's still the same thing. It still supports the games. Though.
any award show within like published media, I think, is kind of.
I mean, it just literally does make me think about like marketing hype, where basically like I heard about Metal Gear remake and people were hype about that. That does make me think about that. But however, like games like that do get praise, and the reason why Elder Rings get praised because everybody loves Souls games all the time. So
Yeah,
I can, yeah, it's kind of what's going on with Call of Duty as well. It's just because, like, for example, because Call of Duty, the franchise has been like a gaming giant for such a long time, and then in my opinion, I want to say Call of Duty did start to slide down in quality. I want to say probably I want to say pretty much after they released Infinite Warfare, because Infinite Warfare did not do good, and not to mention even when the trailer for that game got released, it was already like just getting just mudslang, and people were just shitting all over that game. Like it wasn't even released officially;
Yeah.
it was just a leak of a trailer, and it was already getting just bombarded with just negative comments. I played the game myself. I didn't think the game wasn't great, but it wasn't shitty as people were making it out to be. The zombies mode, they had a zombies mode, which I thought was a little why a zombies mode? Because number one, because due to the success of Treyarch making the zombies mode such a huge success with World at War, Black Ops 1, and then arguably the GOAT, Black Ops 2, Infinity War and Sledgehammer Games, those are the other two collaborators that work with Activision to create the other Call of Duty games. Like Infinite Warfare, I think, was made by Infinity Ward, I believe, is who they collaborate with. Because Advanced Warfare was with Sledgehammer, and they also had a zombies too called Exo Zombies. Now that one, I actually liked it. I actually did like it, but was it great? No, I did lose interest into the that game after a certain amount of time. But however, it wasn't bad. But I think what the thing here is the derivative of other successful games, like with like The Last of Us, or like the third world, or the third person narrative games.
Yeah.
They're starting to go through what Call of Duty did with first person shooters, and then also with zombies being such a huge success. now they're zombie clones, and they're not even trying to be original. They're saying, hey, look, zombies, you guys like zombies, right? You know, pow, pow, shoot, shoot, shoot. That's what you like to do, right? Well,
Right.
I mean, that's 20% of the reason why Treyarch Zombies was good. It was because the maps were innovative, the characters were fun to play as. There was a lot of cool weapons that they put just for zombies, like the the iconic ray gun. But see, Infinite Warfare and Advanced Warfare, they didn't do that. They didn't. They had a couple of cool weapons here and there, sure, but was it anything iconic and, you know, outside the box like the ray gun was, or the shrinking ray one that was in Shangri-La, or the cryo gun from 5 and what was the other one? Ascension? No, they didn't make any weapons like that at all. And if they did such a really puke job of trying to create a weapon like that, and you know, just be like, hey, can I copy off your homework? Yeah, but just don't make it look obvious. That's kind of what the case is here. And then now we're starting to get, Call of Duty is now falling into the fad with another reason why I hate Fortnite. Fortnite created a standard that is solely based on paying for shit. And that's why people are getting frustrated with Call of Duty, because starting with, I want to say it started with Call of Duty Black Ops 4, but it wasn't as bad as it is with Call of Duty Vanguard and Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Well, I love Cold War, and while I love,
if you want to blame anybody for paid DLC for like equipment, blame Steam or Valve, because they're the ones that really started the black market for trading hats and Team Fortress. But
right.
But yeah, it's just, and I mean, they fall into the fad of that, and I personally hated that too. I mean, and a lot of times my issue with the two is not only have they fallen with the fad with that, they didn't even try to be original in the process either. Because like I remember, like in Call of Duty Black Ops 2 days, you could get a calling card, a camo for your gun that would work on not just one weapon like it does with the current Call of Duty games. It works with all types of weapons. It also gives you a new rectile for your scopes that you can customize. So you got so many things with it for like $3 a piece. Now what they're doing now is you would get a custom skin for your character, an exclusive, like it's called a Mastercraft, which was debuted in Black Ops 4, but now it's more prevalent now because it was kind of cool. The Mastercrafts were kind of cool in Black Ops 4, but then again, now it's falling into that same trend that now, because it's become such a success, now they're just making shameless, obvious clones of its successor and completely taking the fun out of the game itself. And not to mention, the themes look like they just went with the status quo. Like there was like clown based things. I'm like, there's so freaking many. And then there was this theme, and like they even put anime into Black Ops Cold War. They had anime themed like camos and skins and shit like that. I'm like, why would you even do that? Anime didn't even exist back in that time.
Well, the developer's incentive isn't to. So the biggest problem with games these days, especially multiplayer games specifically, is this kind of incentive, this massive incentive for developers to make cosmetics over enjoyable gameplay. Like, I'm just saying, I get that those are different teams very often, but I still am just saying that, like, as soon as it seems like to me, and I don't know what the a normal kind of workflow or whatever it is for a large AAA studio game, but it seems like to me that like once the base game gets finished, the people who like do the back end gameplay type stuff, they're just like, all right, well, time to move to DLC because that's the next thing we can work on that's going to get us money, instead of just like moving to like just a completely different game and then give a completely different gameplay experience. They're just going to move to DLC, which is going to be the same rough gameplay experience, but just in a different world or maybe slightly different characters. You know what I mean? Like there's not the innovation like there used to be. It feels stale
Mhm.
and almost griftery. Like it's almost like they're grifting for money any way they possibly can, and I hate the industry for doing that. I mean,
Dude,
and
if there's a way for them to find like some untapped piece of their product that they could make more money out
well,
of,
they fucking
like
did it with NFTs.
they're
Ubisoft was just all like,
yeah,
"Oh, NFTs, let me deep throat that shit."
yeah, they
And
have no
I mean,
they have
seriously,
no
I
they have
am
no
so
shame. Any way they
confused
get more
about
money.
NFTs. Like, do you just create NFTs? You create your own NFTs and then you sell it?
Do you know what a hash is?
No.
we had a whole episode just strictly on NFTs, but essentially an NFT is a digital um, um, item or picture or whatever that you're saying that because it has a unique code attached to it, it's technically unique,
It's a
right?
cryptographic hash that points to a position in a blockchain, which is basically just a chain of other cryptographic hashes that says that um, this guy owns this piece of art. But
Right.
it has none of the actual data like that represents the image itself. It's just this is the hash that represents this image. This is the person that owns it, and
So
this is the transaction record within the blockchain for it.
so just like moving to the game awards is like I don't feel like, especially when it comes to games, that game awards are a true representation of what is of innovation. You know, like fancy graphics to me is not as much innovation as giving decent and new and interesting gameplay. Like the core concept of the game, you know, that it just seems like is going more to the wayside, and we are caring more about like, are the graphics fancy, and do we have cosmetics that we can charge people for, and can we compartmentalize this game into 4 DLC packs? You know, like that is kind of how they're moving as an industry, and it sucks. It really sucks. And
Yeah.
and the last thing I'm going to say real quick before I'll open it back up again to you guys is I really was hoping that Elden Ring would not get any strong awards, and not because, I mean, I'm just gonna say I don't think Elden Ring is really much my game. I played it all the way through. I've got like 130 hours in on it, but that was because I wanted to just try to give it a chance. But now that Elden Ring has won a bunch of awards, guess what's going to happen? The fucking industry is just going to go, well, I guess we just have to make a bunch of Elden Ring clones now, as if we don't have enough
Yep.
of them. And I'm
They're
just
already
saying,
doing
like,
that.
I'm so sick and tired of the Dark Souls model. It is not, to me, a model that should be like the mainstream that a shitload of people should just be like, oh yeah, let's go fucking just load up some Elder or some Elden Ring or some Dark Souls. That to me is just like nails on a chalkboard, because
I
it
would
just
rather
ultimately is
prefer
not that great of a game when
I
it comes to the all aroundness of the game.
I rather prefer like Dead by Daylight should get a reward because honestly, I love that game. I love that game that just basically supports like the horror genre. You know, like
Yeah.
no matter what. Like it can, yeah, it has licensed killers, but I love it how they make their own kind of like their own killers, like so awesome.
Yeah.
They actually created a new chapter called Forge and Fog, and it's just beautiful. Like it was
So
so beautiful. I don't get me wrong. I was excited for Wesker to be in it. That was jaw dropping, gorgeous, and it was
so so when Elden Ring came out, I played all the way through Elden Ring, beat it right away, and then right after that, I played God of War, not Ragnarok, but they finally released the first God of War on PC, the one where he was all like boy or whatever, the prequel
Yeah.
or
I
the
thought you were gonna say the Greek
Boy.
version of
Right.
it.
but
Give
but
me McDonald's.
anyways,
Boy!
I would say so as far as of like the list of games that they provided there, I don't think there was any game other than God of War that deserved to win more than Elden Ring. Whether or not you like Elden Ring, that's personal preference, but I think as far as like a quality product and like a team that obviously cared about the game that they were making and the effort that went into it, way more effort went into Elden Ring than any of those other games other than maybe God of War. Now, if you're going to pit those two against each other, if God of War Ragnarok is better than the last God of War, the one that I played, then I could totally see it being a reasonable win for
To be
them.
fair,
I
I'm
mean,
hoping there's
I
gonna be like four more Norse mythologies in God of War, then go straight to Egypt.
There's things about both games I like and dislike, but I would say they're pretty on par with one another. But I could definitely see why people would prefer Ragnarok or God of War over Elden Ring and vice versa.
I
But
think that the thing that ruined it the most for me on the Elden Ring side is they, and I can't speak for, I played the first God of War. I don't think I beat it. I played it on PlayStation, but really have no interest in playing this one. But it does look like a more just
yeah, more refined version of the
refined and
previous.
buttoned down game.
I mean, that was the most. So I beat God of War as well. Like I think I beat it even quicker than I did Elden Ring. But the disappointing thing about God of War for me is like when it got to the end of the game, I was like, oh, that's it, it's over, because it felt like there was supposed to be a lot more to the
Yeah.
story, and it felt like I felt like I should have only been halfway through the game. So now they're coming out with Ragnarok, and I feel like that's going to be the second half of the game. And that's, I mean, there was quite a bit of content in the first one, and so I mean, being a PC player, I kind of want to complain about having to wait 5 years for it to finally come to PC, but hopefully I won't have to wait that long for Ragnarok. But um,
Well, the other thing is like it's kind of hard to, you simply can't compare the two on this level, but it kind of has a factors like the multiplayer in Elden Ring is just awful. Like it is probably the worst multiplayer. Um,
I mean,
let's just think about it.
there is no multiplayer in
I
God of
know,
War,
but I'm just
so
saying that
Wait, I think Elder Ring do have a multiplayer. It's just that
it
people
does.
just
Yeah, it does.
We played
just like people just invade you. Just
yeah,
like
we
any
played it a
other-
bunch.
Any other Souls games.
And it's not even about the invasion even. So like if there was the invasion, that annoys me personally, but I'm not going to knock it off as like something that the game should just get less of a review for because they choose this invasion system. The thing that gets me is that they have an unintuitive system for multiplayer, period. It is just unintuitive. It's I would say a lot of times, not most, but a lot of times when I'm just trying to sit here, like with my wife, go over and play some Elden Ring, we dead serious just kept beating our heads against the wall, trying to just find the stupid symbol that's on the ground so that we could summon each other. And it just, they make a very unfun multiplayer experience. And then that coupled with the last bit of the game being kind of like a fake difficulty, I just really feel like I sincerely doubt that Santa Monica Studios did that. Like they probably had a finished product that they didn't rush the end of it, and they didn't have like a system in it that feels so unintuitive that it feels broken. That
I mean,
is where I'm kind of at with the two games.
The only thing I'll say in defense of the multiplayer for Elden Ring, which again, that's not for everybody. I appreciate that they tried doing something different compared to like what everybody else does, because the way that their multiplayer works in their game is it's actually like uh it's because of the lore of the game. Like the way you go through and summon people into the game is it's been Same way they've done multiplayer in all the other games too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, Dead Island
I-
did that too.
And
I
you know-
will I will admit that they need to go through and improve on it to make
Yeah.
it a better experience. But I do appreciate
will
that they're not just trying to be like, well, we'll just fucking throw a lobby screen up and join a lobby.
I mean, I would
queue
pref-
together.
I-
and...
dead serious. If they set up a lobby system, I would have nothing to say about it. Like dead serious. Like you say, well, this is what they've done for every single one of them. Well, cars didn't used to have seatbelts, but we put them in cars, didn't we? You know what I mean? Like, it's just absurd that a technology company is going to just purposely, well, this is the way we've always done it, and it's been unintuitive the entire time. Let's keep doing that, guys. I mean, it's almost like that board meeting meme. It's like, well, what if we put up a lobby screen and they throw them out the freaking the window?
I was thinking of that.
But,
and also, what I mean, I haven't played any of the games that you guys have because I don't like play really new release games. I don't follow up on that. I just only play games that I feel like that would catch my interest. Like, if I were to name good games that I feel like if they had, I don't know if they did because a lot of these games I've been playing were actually older. Like for example, I've been getting into the Telltale, Walking Dead, the Telltale series games. I'm currently on the 3rd season of it, and so far, I've never had such a type of immersive experience with any other game than I did with the Walking Dead Telltale series.
yeah.
And because the game is literally tailored to what choices you've made.
Right.
And that I feel like that we need to like kind of bring that back to an extent, because I feel like that it actually challenges the player, because I think also players are looking for challenges too. And like personally, to me, or at least that's just me, I like to be challenged. I like games that make me think. I like games that try to make me think outside the box. It makes me flex my mental muscle. And
Right.
And The Walking Dead has done that. Despite that, I don't exactly have a lot of control on what happens with the NPCs and with the character that I quote unquote play as. It still makes me think, because no matter what decision I make, I feel like that there's something bad is going to happen if I don't make this decision. And I don't, like I said, these games are older. I don't know if they actually won any awards, and if they didn't, how, because they are very good games. And not to mention, like I said, I never had such emotional immersion with or immersion. There was a word for immersion with any other game than I did with The Walking Dead, because if you make a wrong decision, people literally actually fucking die, and they don't
Right.
come back. They don't.
Yeah.
Watched,
There's a
I
lot
watched
of
I watched a YouTuber where he purposely made all bad decisions in that game. But...
Yeah, or another cool game that I like, Fire Emblem Three Houses. Why I love that game so freaking much is because it didn't focus on the cosmetics. I mean, they had a couple of cosmetic things, but however, the cosmetics actually they somewhat made a difference in the game stat wise, because when you change classes, they get like different suits of armor or different outfits or something like that,
Yeah.
that you can somewhat have control over to an extent. But however, the gameplay was like super enhanced compared to the other Fire Emblem games that I played. And not to mention, like, every character, you could tell they put so much thought and effort, and spared no effort in every single character they played. I mean, you have,
unfortunately,
let's see.
JRPGs are dead.
What's that?
JRPGs as a game type are essentially kind of dead in the industry right now. Like, you don't make
JRPGs.
Japanese RPGs, and Fire Emblem is a
Oh.
well-known Japanese-based RPG.
Wasn't there one
Oh.
that just came out, like Xeno Chronicles or some shit?
Even those don't pull in the numbers that, I mean, JRPGs were like in their heyday in the early 2000s, and then they kind of just have slowly but surely kind of declined as far as like game type. But I'm just saying, I'm not disagreeing with you that it's I haven't played it, but I'm just saying that they just don't make the money anymore. There's
one thing
million
one
and
thing
one
else-
JRPGs out there.
One thing I'll say about the Telltale games is I think the concept was pretty cool when it first came out, but
Yeah.
they just kept churning those fucking things
Yeah,
out.
there's like a billion of them now.
And then also Telltale doesn't exist anymore because they went bankrupt.
Yeah, they went bankrupt.
And then also they were just basically abusing the shit out of their employees. They were just like pretty much like, you know, all that controversy you hear about like crunch time and stuff like that with other companies and overworking their employees. Telltale was one of those companies that just was like you may as well just bring a sleeping bag to the office because we gotta crank out this fucking visual novel here.
All right. Well, we have pined on the games for a bit, and we have a few more articles, so I'm going to do a hard stop there. I know there's a little bit more conversation, but we've got a couple other articles to get to before the end of the podcast. But overall, I think that we have generally the same kind of ideas of there's too many of like certain practices in the industry, and it seems like, you know, the awards follow that hand in hand, and it kind of sucks because there's a lot better games out there that don't get a lot of recognition. Like, I would love to see a like that Lemnis Gate. Remember we played that Lemnis Gate game that had like the time, and nobody plays that game.
I would rather
and it was innovative.
I would rather see Dead by Daylight get some recognition that again.
I'm pretty sure it got good recognition when it first came out, but that game's been out for a while. Dead by Daylight's been out for years and years.
Actually, I know you said hard stop, but if we're going to talk about a game that has kind of a pain in the ass multiplayer mode, Dead by Daylight does actually. But otherwise, it's a really good game.
Dude, honestly, I heard there was going to be a Texas Chainsaw Massacre game, and I just can't wait for that.
So the Intel detection tool that was just made uses blood flow to identify deepfakes with 96% accuracy.
Okay, so Intel is trying to be a vampire or something?
No, so do you know what a deepfake is?
I think so.
It's essentially an AI generated video, or it could be an image too, but typically I think what they're talking about here is video of a person, and people have been really worried about like somebody coming on as like President Biden, just be like, all right, boys, we're nuking Russia or something, you know, like all hell would break loose. But anyway, let's listen to what this Intel lady has to say about it here.
Deepfake videos are everywhere now. You have probably already seen them. Videos that show people, like celebrities, saying and doing things they never actually did. Fortunately, Intel is developing several solutions to detect deepfakes in real time. Like the one you are seeing right now. Because you're not the real İlke Demir, I am. Alright, you got me.
It's pretty good, eh?
Deepfakes, since 2014, they evolved so much.
Whoa.
However, bad use cases were coming up, for example, in political misinformation, for adult content, for impersonation. What can we do about it? Can we develop approaches for detection? How we can find what is real, what is fake? So Intel, we built the first real-time deepfake detection platform. It uses fake catcher as its core. We ask the question,
hey, Shloop,
what
do you
is
get
the
the fake
truth in
profiles
humans?
on Tinder too?
What makes us
My
humans?
God.
The answer is in our blood.
They got the catfish. They got the catfish right now.
Right.
Heart pumps blood, our veins are changing color, and that color change is called photophotoplethysmography, PPG for short. We take those PPG signals from many places on your face and convert them into PPG maps, and then we develop deep learning approach on top of that to classify into fake or real videos. We are also using eye gaze-based detection.
Was there a picture of Hitler there? I just saw. I wasn't the only one that just saw that, right?
I want to see this. I want to see this.
Yeah, me too. Where?
Classify into fake or real videos.
Oh no,
I hope it wasn't that portion of the
And
video
we can
because
go
that was
up
actually
to 72
Stephen
concurrent
Hawking,
detection
but-
streams on
But
Xeon
why?
for real videos.
Yeah,
We
okay,
also
it was.
use
It was.
to
Okay, all
classify
right.
into fake or real
You're right
videos.
there.
Oh, I see it.
Oh my
We're also
god!
using eye gaze-based detection. The unique aspect is that Intel's deepfake detection solution using Fake Catcher is the first real-time deepfake solution platform. It has 96% accuracy, and we can go up to 72 concurrent detection streams on Xeon. We focus our detection approaches on those like harmful deepfakes. There are also responsible deepfakes. Instead of masking or blurring, deepfakes in the digital domain and metaverse are used to mask identity but keep facial expressions exactly the same. What we are using is synthetic images as source material for your face, so any of the face recognition algorithms will not be able to recognize that it is you. It makes a really good human connection.
Wow.
I really like finding those unique solutions that no one thought about. Fake Catcher is the first approach that is telling us why we are real,
Are you guys
why
literally
we
just
are
learning about
authentic.
deepfakes? Like they said, it's been
It's
around
the-
since 2014.
Yeah, it's been around for a while.
Look,
Yeah.
honestly, I've been hearing about a lot of deepfakes as well in throughout like TikTok and all that. There's been a lot of deepfakes about that too.
Oh, we haven't even been seeing this on the. Whoops.
But-
Sorry.
Whoop.
But Jason, you are right. Somebody might impersonate the president for this.
Right.
Yeah.
Watermark of being human.
That's gonna make that part where I said, "Is that Hitler?" really out of context now.
we'll
I
we'll
gave
show them real here.
a deepfake
We
detection
were-
solution using Fake Catcher is the first
Yeah, I don't want
real-time
people just thinking
deepfake
I
solution
randomly see
platform.
Hitler.
It has 96%
Dude,
accuracy.
Dude, it's right
And we
there.
can go up to 72 concurrent
I am now scared.
Yeah, it was right over here.
classify into fake
It was
or
right there. There's the.
Like, why?
it was on the screen.
Why do you want to deepfake Hitler?
Oh.
What's
I'm not
next,
going to
Jeffrey Dahmer?
because there'd be a lot of people that'd want to deepfake some weirdos from history for sure.
I'd rather deepfake like Leatherface or Michael Myers, but that's it.
Pretty
Right.
sure that's not Charlie Chaplin. I know Hitler when I see him.
Right.
Sometimes I think Charlie
This is
Chaplin
a Tom Cruise
and...
deepfake here.
There's actually a
One,
TikTok.
I don't drink. Two, I fly on the side of the plane outside.
Yeah, I can see what she meant by the facial expressions, because like she said, his facial expressions, like even though his voice tone
Yeah,
sounded
his voice
different.
tone was
his
wrong.
his voice tone was wrong. Number one, number two, his facial expressions just were like soulless. It was so obvious. I can see now that she like brought that out to me. Now
Yeah.
I can see as clear as day. So actually, this might be a blessing that I know about this.
Side of the plane outside.
Yeah, see, like no facial expression. It's the
Okay,
same
in my
thing.
defense, I know that's a deep fake Tom Cruise, but I know for a fact he will act like that in person.
Yeah. Is this another, or is this actually Tom Cruise in this one?
To be fair, Tom Cruise and Kanye West be
Sure, there's a lot
best
of
friends
candidates
because
who
they're
run.
both crazy.
Can any of them actually run? I mean, really run? I'm the last
This is
American
exactly
to
why I'm saying this.
No one runs like I
Tom
do.
Cruise and Kanye West
Nobody
being
opens a
best
box
friends for no
office like
reason.
me. And with your help in 2020 together, dominate the ballot box.
Is that actually him? Let me look at this.
So there's a guy that he's a Tom Cruise impersonator, and he also uses deepfake to, like, he already kind of looks like him a little bit, and then they use deepfakes to make him, like, spot on.
Dude,
Like,
Yeah.
the anger of that little man's gonna find out that's a
This is no
deep fake.
stunt.
The more he's gonna
So
that guy's
that
gonna get
definitely
sued.
is not.
His nose isn't even right.
Exactly.
But if it were, I do all those for real. Why vote for me?
What?
I'm not.
I mean, kinda when he's running, but yeah, I would say no. He doesn't look.
I mean,
very
as
much
far
like
as
it.
as far as deepfakes go, I think that's a pretty believable one. But like,
Dude.
a lot of times when you watch deepfakes, like, especially if you just watch around the jawline and stuff like that, that's where you can typically
Right.
like tell. Especially if they didn't do training on it for very long. So if they just went through and like small collection of like 50 images of somebody's face, and they're like, all right, I'll train this thing for an hour or two and come back and find out what they got, and they're just like good enough. So usually you can spot them pretty easily.
And by the way, I watched Jerry Maguire. He does drink.
Okay. I mean, in the movie.
In the movie, yes.
But it may not. That might just be tea or something, you know?
Oh, that makes sense.
So, I've got a science. I've got a science alert here. This is a science alert.
Oh, this is so about
scientists
Egyptian gods
confirm
right here.
you can communicate with your cat by blinking very slowly.
What?
I'm just saying, it's science.
Like, I mean, I can also communicate with my cat by meowing at it. It doesn't understand.
Cats have a bit of reputation for standoffishness, especially compared with dogs, but if you find your feline friend is a little hard to bond with, maybe you're hitting it too much. Oh, maybe you're just not speaking their language. Research shows that it's actually not so difficult. You need to smile at them more, not smile in the human way by baring your teeth, but the cat way by narrowing your eyes and blinking slowly. In a study, I just
you have to
imagine
purr.
a bunch of people just like.
Do you have to
standing around
scratch
a
the
cat doing
couch?
that.
Do you have to take a dump in a box of sand?
I
got more, Jason. I got more right now.
In a study published in 2020, scientists observed cat-human interactions and were able to confirm that this act of blinking slowly makes cats, both familiar and unfamiliar animals, approach and be receptive to humans. As someone who has both studied animal behavior and is a cat owner, it's great to be able to show that cats and humans can communicate in this way, psychologist Karen McComb of the University of Sussex in the UK explained when the results of the study were published. It's something that many cat owners had already suspected, so it's exciting to have found evidence for it. If you've spent any time around cats, you've probably seen their partially closed eyes facial expression accompanied by slow blinking. It's similar to how human eyes narrow when smiling and usually occurs when the puss is relaxed and content.
That's what she said.
The expression is interpreted as kind of a cat smile. Anecdotal evidence from cat owners has hinted that humans can copy this expression to communicate with cats that we are friendly and open to interaction. So in the study, a team of psychologists designed 2 experiments to determine whether cats behave differently towards slow blinking humans as opposed to not slow blinking, I suppose. In the first experiment, owners slow blinked at their 21 cats from 14 different households. Once the cat was settled and comfy in one spot in their home environment, the owners were instructed to sit about a meter away and slow blink when the cat was looking at them. These cats are just like, wow, this is got some weird stuff going on.
Yeah, but for it said 21 in the 21 cats in 14 different households. Yeah, I found that baloney. There's just things cat ladies. They forgot about mentioning about that.
Right.
And if you can communicate your cat more, if he speaks English, I'll be like, great, I gotta show you something. Here's a bill of everything I bought you.
Right.
How are you gonna
maybe it's a total of 21 cats that came from 15 different households.
Yeah.
That is actually true.
Cameras recorded both the owner's face and the cat's face, and the results were compared to how cats blink with no human interaction. The results showed that cats are more likely to slow blink at their humans after their humans have slow blinked at them, compared to the no interaction condition. The second experiment included 24 cats from 8 different households. What? Wow. Okay. This time, it wasn't the owners doing the blinking, but the researchers who'd had no prior contact with the cat. For a control, the cats were recorded responding to a no-blink condition in which humans stared at the cats without blinking their eyes. They're just like...
So...
Boy!
Do they have to get high while doing this?
No. Probably not.
So a staring contest.
Yeah. The researchers performed the same slow blink process as the first experiment, adding an extended hand towards the cat. And they found that not only were the cats more likely to blink back, but they were more likely to approach the human hand after the human had blinked. This study is the first to experimentally investigate the role of slow blinking in cat-human communication, McCombs said. And it is something you can try yourself with your own cat at home or with cats you meet in the street. It's a great way of enhancing the bond you have with cats. I don't recommend doing this with like a tiger. I'm thinking you'll probably still get mauled.
Yeah, duh, because that cat's big.
Lion,
that cat's big.
Panther. I don't think that you should try this.
I am not going to try this.
But
Don't work on cougars.
try narrowing your eyes at them as you would in a relaxed smile, followed by closing your eyes for a couple of seconds. You'll find they responded in the same way themselves, and you can start a sort of conversation. Dogs may be a lot more enthusiastically demonstrative than cats, but for cat lovers, the slow blinking phenomenon might not come as a surprise. Research in recent years has shown that our feline friends are a lot more in tune with their human housemates than previously supposed, and that comparing them to dogs is a disservice. Cats, for example, respond in kind to humans who are receptive to them, so if you find cats standoffish, that might be a problem with you, not the kitty. Likewise, cats echo the personality traits of the humans they live with. This may be related to why cats seem to pick up when their humans are sad. They also can recognize their names, although they choose to ignore them a lot of the time, and their bonds with their humans are surprisingly deep. It's difficult to know why cats slow blink at humans this way. It's been interpreted as a means of signaling benign intentions, since cats are thought to interpret unbroken staring as threatening. But it is also possible that cats develop the expression since humans respond positively to it. With domesticated animals, it's often impossible to tell. Either way, it does seem to help forge a rapport, and that's a good thing to know. Learning how to improve our relationships with these enigmatic animals could also be a way to improve their emotional health, not just in the home environment, but across a range of potentially stressful situations. Like bath time.
Yeah, I agree with comparing a cat to a dog is like comparing a gun to an axe. They're not the same thing. Come on, seriously. I mean, they're both pets. I know they're both domesticated for companionship. Don't get me wrong. I'm very well aware of that. But the thing is, dogs respond differently and are built to communicate differently than cats are, because cats, they, like you said, they're more standoffish because they're more independent. They do go in packs every now and then, but they're more like, compared to their ancestors like the lion or the tiger, they really don't. Depending on the strength of that particular tiger or lion, they oftentimes will hunt alone, but there are times that they will also hunt in packs because that animal is so strong and so dominant. They feel that the weaker animal feels that maybe if they'll have a chance of survival if they stick with this one and do everything that this animal says. That's one theory. I mean, that's a theory. But however, as I've noticed with my cats, I do agree with the personality pickup. Like, for example, my dog Sage, my greyhound. She's got more of a personality of my mom than she does me because, well, number one, I got her for my mom, not for myself. But however, she's very loyal to my mom. She will never leave her side, and she knows when she is sick. And also, she also remembers. We have a theory with Sage and men with ball caps. But just hear me out on this. Every time that there's a strange man that is strange to her, to Sage meaning, and there's a ball cap being presenting on the person's head, she will growl at that person and will stare at them. And it's just men with ball caps. If you don't have a cap on, you'll be fine. If you're a woman, you'll be fine. But if you're a man and you have a ball cap on, she will growl at you if she does not know you well enough. Like, for example, my cousin, he wears ball caps all the time. My mom was sick in bed. She had a migraine, and my dog when Sage was with her the entire time, did not leave her side, not for 1 second, not once. And he came in, my cousin did, and he had a ball cap on. He walked into my mom's room, and she started just barking and growling at him, and she does not bark or growl. Greyhounds in general are very gentle, and they're very quiet dogs. That's what they're known for. They're gentle giants. But Sage, she just went ballistic, and she never acts like that. So with that saying, animals do pick up on human emotions. They do pick up on whether a person is feeling sick, because they can also smell it on them too. Because when our body is fighting an infection, our body temperature increases, and sometimes when we sweat, of course, we put out a smell. And the animals have such a strong enough smell, have such high amount of smell receptors than what a human has. They can pick that up not only more accurately, but they can pick it up quicker than a human can too. And not to mention with my cat Chesney, he definitely stays by me because he's raised around me. He's been with me since I was in middle school. And not to mention everything that I do, he'll do it with me. Like sometimes you'll see him on the podcast, or when I'm here with you guys, he'll sometimes come up and be like, "Hey, what's going on?" Or sometimes he'll sit by me because he knows that I'm playing my game, and he likes it when I'm down here because it's a way of me being with him. And the communication thing, the blinking, I never thought blinking would be a way of communication with a cat, but I could see where that would come from, because I do notice that when cats do blink, when they blink slowly, that means that they're trusting, and that they are relaxed around you. It's the same as when they show their bellies to you. Cats and dogs show their bellies. That means that they trust you and they submit to you. They don't do that if they feel threatened by you, because of course their belly is their softest part of their body. Because when two dogs or two cats are in a battle with each other for territory or food, they always go for this region of their body because that's the softest spot, and that's where all the important arteries are at to make them bleed out and die. So when they do that to you, that means I trust you. You're clearly not a threat to me. I trust you. And if you want to rub my belly, go right ahead. I may bite you because I'm a little shit like that. Hence my Siamese cat Coda. He will do that.
Right.
Wow.
All right. Well, I need to work on Sean's mic here. Looks like we're getting a little bit of feedback. But that being said, does somebody want to start on this next article? So Doom Eternal composer claims soundtrack was a nightmare.
Well, of course it's a nightmare. Doom is about slaughtering demons. This composer must be a demon.
All right, here, I'll take this one. So you got the last one. In a lengthy 14,000 word Medium post, Doom Eternal composer Mick Gordon accused of id Software's executive producer Marty Stratton of lying about the official soundtrack's shoddy release and throwing him under the bus as the cause for its poorly mixed tracks. According to Gordon, working on the soundtrack to Doom Eternal was a nightmare from start to finish, both when working on the game itself, including for an 11-month stretch without pay, and later when he claims id Software surprise announced that an OST album would be included with the game's collector's edition without previously informing Gordon of any plans for such a project. In his new post, Gordon said he had to crunch for 18 to 20-hour days to meet its deadline for the OST.
Okay. That game deserved a reward for their music and for the gameplay. 2, the composer is just being very rude about it. The game is wonderful. Music is wonderful.
I don't think they're talking about I don't think they're saying the performance of it. I think they're saying that in the process of creating it was a nightmare. Just because something was hard to create, that doesn't mean that just because it was hard to create, that doesn't mean it wasn't bound for success. Papers like my capstone paper, that thing was a nightmare to work on, because I spent probably 6 to 8 hours a day in the psychology lab working on a paper where I could have been in my dorm with my fraternity brothers, or just simply just chilling out, because I have like 2 to 5 classes a day each day, and plus I held a chairman, a vice president position on the exec board in my fraternity too, on top of that. So, but just because it was a nightmare to do, that doesn't mean that it sucked. That's not what they were saying. They're saying that even though it was successful, the process of it was very, very hard for them. And I think they're just trying to make it aware that, hey, yeah, I'm glad that this was successful, but just know I went through hell making this. And like for my paper, even though that I made 20 pages of content on my paper, I got an A on it. It was probably one of the most successful papers I've ever written, but boy, that shit was hard. And I was fried after my class was done and I graduated. My brain was done. I could not think anymore. I didn't want my fingers anywhere near a computer or a keyboard or anything. I think that's what they're trying to say.
So I'll continue on here. So Gordon claims that he didn't get to hear the final soundtrack until its release, and said the results of the OST's careless editing and its obvious technical faults, mistakes, and errors left him stunned. Alongside my direct contribution were an additional 47 tracks made by poorly editing together bits and pieces taken from my in-game score, he wrote. They exhibited the same thoughtless disregard for basic music fundamentals that plagued the preliminary edits id Software showed me a week earlier. In addition, Gordon claims that he never approved the soundtrack's release, wasn't paid until he was 8 months through its production, wasn't informed that he'd be working on the soundtrack until Doom Eternal's Collector's Edition was advertised to the public. Stratton offered him a 6-figure sum to stay quiet about the matter. Doom Eternal's 59-track OST was marred by controversy back in 2020 when word got out that Gordon only mixed 11 or so out of the 59 tracks for the game's collector's edition. Fans noted the game's tracks sounded flat in comparison to the quality of work found on Gordon's previous works. This led to harassment campaigns against id's lead audio designer Chad Mossholder, the person credited on the tracks fans had complaints with. Coming to the defense of Mossholder, its producer Stratton made a lengthy Reddit post in May that year, claiming that a failure on Gordon's part to submit his music on time led to the OST's multiple delays, leaving Mossholder to pick up the pieces with the OST's 4 other tracks. Stratton concluded his post by saying that the company won't be working with Gordon for Doom Eternal's DLC and wished him luck on his future endeavors. In today's Medium blog, Gordon claims that he and Stratton discussed his concerns about the OST's bungled release over a Skype call, in which tensions simmered over. After he spent some time chastising me for my lack of public support, he charged that the failure of the OST was entirely my fault, Gordon alleges. I shot back that it wasn't my decision to include 47 poorly edited tracks. I hadn't even heard their final album before release. He directly accused me of failing to take ownership and insisted I take full public responsibility. I countered there was absolutely no way I would take the fall for something I didn't do. Despite allegedly clearing up the air with one at the end of the call and at Stratton's suggestion agreeing to publish a joint statement about plans to fix the album, Gordon says Stratton decided to then make his widely seen Reddit post that blamed the OST's lackluster condition largely on Gordon. Marty's post severely impacted my personal reputation. In releasing this statement, I'm exercising my right to defend myself, Gordon wrote on Twitter today. This was on the 16th. Or, let's look up here. Well, it was updated on the 16th. This is just prior to the 16th is my guess.
At 4:20 p.m. Nice.
Right. It is a defense, not an unprovoked attack, issued with extreme reluctance only after all other attempts to resolve the matter have failed. So Kotaku reached out to Bethesda for comment. This statement is not an excuse for a hate campaign, Gordon wrote at the end of his Twitter thread. Acts of hate dished out online won't result in any positive change. It only makes things worse. And here's an update. Bethesda has released a statement that strongly objects to the claims made in Gordon's open letter, saying his post mischaracterized and misrepresented id Software and incited harassment and threats of violence against the team. The game developer also stated it has full and complete documented evidence to disclose an appropriate venue as needed. So let's look at their statement real quick.
Wow, even I think this has been a Doom conversation.
I don't know why that's up there, but
Go away.
Tired of pop-ups? Here's an annoying ass
Right,
pop-up.
right. Fuck, man. The
Wanna
recent
break from
post
the ads?
God damn you, Elon.
The recent post by Mick Gordon both mischaracterized and misrepresented the team at id Software, the development of Doom Eternal, Marty Stratton and Chad Mossholder, with one-sided, unjust account of an irreparable professional relationship. We are aware of all the details and history in this matter and unequivocally support Marty, Chad, and the team at id Software. We reject the distortion of the truth and selective presentation of incomplete facts. We stand ready with full and complete documented evidence to disclose in an appropriate venue as needed. The statements posted online have incited harassment and threats of violence against Marty Chad and the id Software team. Any threats or harassment directed towards members of our teams will be met with swift and appropriate action to protect their health and safety. We remain incredibly proud of id's previous collaborations with Mick Gordon and ask that fans refrain from reaching conclusions based on his account and, more importantly, from attacking any of the individuals mentioned on either side, including Marty Chad or Mick. I'm just saying, if they have the evidence, then let's see it, because he's got 14,000 word document. I'm not going to read through all of it, but I'm just saying, like, he has individual documents with, he's got screenshots, they're going to have to come with like
that
how
is
long it took
a
me to
lot
just scroll
of
forward on
documents.
that. You know what I mean? Like
a
this is
lot of
absurd.
documents.
So this is something I'll say about this whole scenario. I think that, one, Mick Gordon is most likely in the right here. But I think what resulted in this happening is Mick Gordon like having to work with a major like game studio like id and the way that they do their work. You know what I mean? Like it's basically nothing's complete until it's suddenly complete. And they probably, like the way that their workflow works, more or less required him to be a little bit more flexible, I think, as far as how he provided music. And there was a lot of things that were going to probably be up in the air. And I think it's just like the working relationship that they had just wasn't as organized as he's probably used to, if that makes sense. But
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that
but he's done a lot of scores for a lot of other like major games too. So I mean, he's not new to making music for games either. So
I mean,
he definitely he wasn't lying on having So I mean, at least because some people say yeah, I got evidence, but then don't actually ever show it. So at least he followed through with what he said. So we'll give him that.
No, Mick followed through. So Mick Gordon, the composer, this is his 14,000 page
Yeah,
essay.
that's what I meant to say. Mick Gordon. That's what I meant. Sorry.
Id hasn't come forward with anything. Id is just saying, yeah, we got evidence, but they don't have shit. Like they.
Yeah, I meant Mick Gordon. That's what I meant, not Id. I'm sorry. I meant Mick Gordon. No, Id is doing exactly what you're saying. Yeah, they're saying they have evidence too, but they haven't showed anything.
Right.
Yeah, no, I was referring to Mick. No, because I agree with Schloops here that he's more on the right here. Because I mean, it looks like that he just got completely dicked by id, and they were just being completely unreasonable with their standards, and he's showing, screenshot after screenshot after screenshot after screenshot of what's going on here. So at least he's being more transparent than the company the company that he's battling against, if you will, is. So that just goes to show that hey, I mean, that's just how these big companies are. I mean, they talk the big game, but when it comes to it, they claim they have evidence, but they don't. It's like with Trump saying like, yeah, I pay taxes, yeah, I got my tax returns and all that shit, but never shows them.
So if you evidence,
I think any evidence that id's going to have is just going to show that they had a working relationship with Mick Gordon, but it's not going to tackle any of the like issues that he's brought up in this 14,000 character document or whatever. I don't think they're going to have anything counter to what he is saying like actually transpired, and they're just going to basically be like, yeah, we're a game company, very like agile schedules or whatever, and it just ended up not being a good working relationship. I don't. The fact that anybody's trying to put blame on anybody else is where I think the biggest problem is here, and that's all Gordon's trying to do is like, yeah, don't come out and say that I'm a difficult person to work with, or like try to like one attribute my name to this product that you release, which because the problem isn't the game audio. He is the producer, he worked on the game audio, and then they took a lot of his like riffs and or tracks that he made for the game, and then tried to make T out of it. So the issue really comes with the OST that came after that, because it's not exactly the same as what was in the game.
Right.
Mhm.
But that is it for our topics today. So we're going to go do a quick roundtable here. We'll go ahead and start with Sean. Do you have any final thoughts here?
Okay, final thoughts on the Doom Eternal thing.
Just on the whole podcast.
The whole podcast? Okay. First off, the Chrono was dark. Like,
right.
I'm still shocked about the stuff in bodies. I think Intel is a bunch of vampires that just taken my identities. And I still think that Tom Cruise drinks.
Look
If
at his
there's
nose,
a
you can
music-
tell he drinks. No.
Probably some martinis. Who cares?
All right, Schloobs, what do you got?
I mean, I guess I'll go ahead and reiterate the whole cryogenics thing. Pretty interesting. I was pretty sure I knew what a pubis is, but I had to Google it just to make sure I was right. So now I'm picturing somebody getting frozen cryogenically, and then their dick broke off, and they get they get revived, and then the doctor's like, "We have all the technology possible to revive you from cryostasis, but we cannot replace your penis. You're sorry, man."
If
That's
this
like-
happened to me, I tell him, like, look, buddy, if you broke my dick, you were repairing me with a big dick. That's it.
That's like one of the best lines from Ghostbusters. He's just like, "Yep, you're right. This man has no dick."
I think that was Silence of the Lambs.
What?
What? Anyways.
All right.
Buffalo Bill was dancing without a dick.
Oh. Okay.
Buffalo Bill.
Just to hit on a couple more quick topics. I think it's really cool that Intel's going actually kind of developing some tools for helping with.
Wait a minute. Are you
identifying-
doing a crossover? Because maybe they wouldn't have cracked their skin if they would have put some lotion on it. I'm just saying.
Puts the lotion on the skin, or else it cracks the holes again when frozen.
I can just Buffalo Bill looking into a cryogenic tube. Go ahead. Sorry.
Buffalo Bill in the cryogenic. That'll be
Lower a
hilarious.
little
That
basket into
that
the
will make my
cryogenic.
day better.
Oh man.
All right. Anyway, he's
Are you
the
still
Intel
laughing on the
the Intel tool is pretty cool. Hopefully that doesn't have anything to do with Buffalo Bill, but I think a lot of people were really worried about deepfakes when they first came out, so I'm glad that like we're able to combat it a little bit and maybe make people stop freaking out about deepfakes. I don't know. I personally think a lot of deepfakes are really obvious, but there are some really good ones out there where it's like not immediately obvious. Who's that guy that does the Showtime show, Barry? He was on
I don't
stand-up
know.
comedian. He does a lot of impersonations of people. Sorry, looking him up real quick.
Dana Carvey.
Sam McFarlane.
No, not Dana Carvey. Give me the goddamn actor's name, please.
Dude, the only thing I'm worried about deepfakes is where.
Bill Hader.
Oh, Bill Hader. Oh.
So
yes.
there's a bunch of deepfakes of him doing impressions on like Conan and stuff like that. One is of him doing an impression of the old Western guy. Why is my brain not working
Clayton
right now?
Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood, yeah. So he does an impression of Clint Eastwood, and they actually deepfaked Clint Eastwood's face onto him, and it's almost a scary impression though because of it.
Yeah.
He sounds just like him.
All right. So Dylan,
Other than that, don't forget to wash your balls.
Dylan, what do you got?
Dude,
Final thoughts?
I'm worried about deepfakes. It's just gonna make fraud. There's gonna be a lot of fraud in the world with deepfakes.
Yeah.
Like
Wait
seriously.
Wait till you hear about deepfake porn.
Jesus, there'll be a bunch of celebrities doing it.
There already is.
It already is, yeah. That's like 90% of what fake content.
Like celebrities make money off of just doing
It's just
Pornhub.
Celebrities aren't making money.
It's just
No, they ain't
revenge.
get nothing for that. The only thing they're getting is like, you did do porn, or that's all they're getting.
Right.
But anyways, my final thoughts on the podcast. Cryogenics, yeah. I didn't think, I thought it would be, I was waiting for it to be like something like they made a breakthrough with it or something. No, it's about some people getting shoved into one thing like it's trying to shove like someone was trying to commit robbery at a bank, trying to shove a bunch of cash into a duffel bag, but except it's bodies and a cryogenic capsule.
Dude,
Wow.
I can't imagine a bunch of frozen orgies in that day.
Christ. But with the gaming industry, I agree with Jason on that. It's just they've taken such a turn and it's not for the good of it, and I can see why Jason would be having these predictions that if Elden Ring were to win, a lot of awards simply
It did.
for
It
what
won-
it's done.
it won Game of the Year.
It did. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so it did win Game of the Year.
I'm pretty sure,
Okay,
yeah.
I didn't. Okay, I didn't know if it did or not, but so what he's thinking was that now that video game companies like, well, if Elden Ring was able to do this kind of model, then why can't we? And like I said with Call of Duty Zombies, the Call of Duty Zombies from Treyarch was wildly successful. The fan base was amazing, and not to mention it kind of became its own entity to a certain extent within the Call of Duty franchise. And then after that, there was clones being caught. They made clones with the other ones, like with the Exo Zombies, which was okay. It's like I said, I'm not shitting on Exo Zombies. I did have fun with Exo Zombies for a time, but did I fall out of it pretty quickly compared to the Treyarch Zombies? Oh, hell yeah, I did. And then with the Infinite Warfare Zombies, it just didn't make sense. I mean, what all they did with that was they took weapons. They took some World War II weapons, but mainly box weapons that you got were all from like the Infinite Warfare age, and it just didn't make sense because all these maps took places like in the 70s, the 60s, the 80s, the 90s, and then they also try to do like a weird little Easter egg crossover with the extinction mode from Call of Duty Ghosts, which I'm like, what the fuck is that? Why?
Rather use like Lucille, like if there was an add-on like a Walking Dead add-on and they have Lucille, I'll use that than a freaking old gun.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's just the way that Infinite Warfare did it. Was just which would have been Infinity Ward who made that. It just did not make sense and it did not work. But and I do wish that games would just be fun, not just be money, because that pisses players off. I mean, we paid like what $30 to like $70 already just so we can own the freaking game. If assuming that many people don't know how to get the game for free illegally. So with that said, the P2P, that's what's called P2P, pay to play. That's definitely been instilled in pretty much every game that's came out in the past 5 years, give or take, and it's definitely pissing people off. And I understand Jason's thoughts about it, and it's even and I don't really let that kind of stuff bother me per se. I try not to let it I try not. I can't talk today. I try not letting that kind of thing bother me per se. But then when it's in your face constantly, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to look past it when it's constantly in your face. And they make the games all about pay to play this, pay for this cosmetic this that literally does practically nothing for your game, for your player, for your avatar or anything. I mean, yeah, it's just they need to get their heads out of their asses, with that kind of thing before they just kill the gaming industry, period. Which I don't know if that's possible to kill an industry that's so popular still, despite everything that's going on. But I mean, there's a lot of things that we thought would be, that we thought would never happen, but yep, they have. So,
Right. All right. Well, that's it for the podcast today. I really want to give a thanks out to Shluby Snack and Sean and Dylan for coming on and enduring some of the
Anytime. I'll come in next Saturday if I want.
Yeah. But I'm going to switch to the audience real quick. If this is content that you like, please hit the like button if you're watching us on Facebook. Hit the like button YouTube. Subscribe to us on YouTube at the Squeeze Box. And then the same thing over on Twitch. Squeeze the Box. And on Twitch. Yeah, we are just looking to expand. I'm thinking probably within the next couple of weeks I'll be making a Squeeze Box TikTok. And we'll be able to get onto another platform. So please follow us, like, subscribe, do all those things, share it around, let people know about us. And as always, thanks for watching. We will catch you on the next one. Thanks, guys.